Hey guys, it's Heyde here again for another jazz tutorial. This one is voted for on my musician page again. It was a really interesting one, and it's what do you do with the left hand? How do you embellish your playing with your left hand? Let me talk from my point of view. What I've found is it's really important, first of all, to get the fundamentals. So if you're playing swing, or jazz in general, you need to understand the rootless voicings, which I talked about in another lesson. You need to understand that these sorts of shapes and things are what you can use in your left hand in the first place. So I played a cover called I Will by the Beatles. Here's what it sounded like, and pay attention to the left hand. Already, do you see what I'm doing here? I'm really outlining just the rootless voicings. The threes and the sevens with the roots. Excuse me, not the rootless voicings. I'm outlining the shells. And occasionally, I'll do a rootless voicing. But you want to start, like I said, with these fundamentals. So once you get the fundamentals, what I will typically do is I'll add another chord extension. So maybe I'll add the ninth in there because I like that. So, if this is your F major 7, I'll add in this guy here, or I'll add the fifth, right? Just talking in terms of chords. The other function that your left hand will have a lot is being the basis that you don't have. If I was accompanying someone, so I would do something like this, But I'm accompanying myself and I don't have anyone else. So you need a way to, and I'm sorry, I have a camera in front of me, so it's kind of difficult for me to make this reach, but you're almost giving the chords to this section of your hands. Melody over here, bass over here. So check this out. I'll play it again for you real slow. See this leading that I'm doing between chords instead of... Watch what my pinky is doing, or this area. I'm finding these notes in between that will segue into each of these chords, so maybe... Right? That's a common jazz technique. You bring something up a half step, resolve it down. So that's one way of approaching it. You think in terms of bass and chords and kind of, like I said, splitting the chords between the two hands. There's a lot of different ways of alternatives. And one of my favorite jazz pianists is Brad Mehldau. And what he'll do is so unconventional. He really gives the left hand just as much prominence in his playing as the right hand. And I think he's drawing a lot from a lot of classical figures like Bach, which if you think, they're writing fugues. Bach wrote fugues. And the fugues, each voice had equal importance. So it wasn't like there was a bass line per se. It was like, I'm just going to improvise something right here. Right, okay, you see how there wasn't quite a bass line. They each have equal importance. They're having a dialogue back and forth. Brad Mehldau will do that a lot in his playing, and I'll try and link a video of him playing because it's great to check out what he does. He'll have these kinds of fugal sort of improvisation, and that's a great thing for you to try, too. Try and improvise a fugue. Just give yourself a key, or maybe give yourself a song. Like, I'll always do this with Black Orpheus because I love that one, so, etc. And make sure you're not just, it's tricky and you feel like you want to start leaning back into each bass on each of the roots on the downbeat when you're left hand. Try to avoid doing that. Try to really just make it a melodic figure. Brad Mehldau is a great example. There's tons of other things you can do instead of just doing the bass. I mean, you don't even need the bass. Brad Mehldau, one thing he'll do is this sort of ostinato figure, right? He'll do something. The bass is there, but it's much more cloudy, right? And one thing I'll also do is switch. He'll kind of go back and forth with hands. He's funky like that. That's why I love him. That's another great thing to try. Really experiment. Find what's right for you. But what's most important for you to know in the first place is fundamentals. You have to understand shell voicings. You have to understand rootless voicings. You have to understand maybe some figures. I realized today I've never played the traditional blues, vamp that goes on in the left hand. I've never done that. I've never tried to do that, and I've been playing piano since I was 7. So there's a lot of fundamentals you have to get down first before you can add your own personal voice and really experiment a bit. So I would really suggest getting sort of those fundamentals down. Hopefully that helps. I know it's kind of a shaky subject, and I've never really thought of that one before. So it's a great question. Thank you for asking it. Be sure to vote for another tutorial, and I'll have it up next week. Thank you guys so much. I hope to have more for you soon. Take care.